It's a warm San Franciscan night. One cop, old cop, feel alright on a warm San Franciscan night. Wasn't born here, yes I was. Perhaps I'll die here. No place to go. San Francisco. Dee-lee-lee. The animals. Dee-lee-lee. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. In the late 70s, early 80s, I lived around the corner in an apartment here in San Francisco. But this house, rock people should know this house. This was once the Jefferson Airplane Mansion. I lived on the block right behind it. I used to hear Hot Tuna and the Starship recorded, or actually rehearse in a studio downstairs by the garage there. It was painted black way back then. And obviously now this designer and his wife own it. Golden Park, 2400 Fulton Street. 2400 Fulton Street, the Jefferson Airplane Mansion in the 60s. No. One pill makes you larger. Actually, they owned it after that. They owned it after, I think in 1968, the airplane owned it. And sold it in the 90s, I believe. Bill Thompson, their manager, thought they should invest in it. Went to a few parties there in the 70s when, I think when they did a party for 30 Days Over Winterland, the live album. Amoeba Music, Hay Street, San Francisco. Mazzy's gonna try a whack-a-mole on location at Amoeba in San Francisco. We'll see if this works. Now, I'm not gonna cheat. Vinyl Richie thinks I cheat, but you won't see me pull, but I'll reach back. But I'm gonna stop it and go in different sections so we're not all like in the A's or B's or C's or whatever. Okay, so let's see what happens. Blood, Sweat, and Tears, their third album. This is their third album with David Clayton Thomas, I believe. The third one, Blood, Sweat, and Tears 3. I'm looking for the 3. I think it is the third one. And Cowboys and Indians, John the Baptist, Go Down Gambling. You know, I kind of jumped off the boat after I did the first album with the big one, 1969 album, 68, 69 I believe, with David Clayton Thomas. I went their second album with Heidi Heidi Ho. Then I kind of got this and I jumped off the road with them. And then I know at some point after this, I think David Clayton Thomas went solo. So, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Okay, we'll try this again now. Okay, I'm gonna skip this one because you don't need to see the biggest selling album of all fucking time, about all the fucking records to pick, so I'm not gonna count this one. I mean, you'll see it, but we all know this record, the biggest selling album of all time. Eagles' Greatest Hits on Asylum Records, 1977, I believe. Try that again. Marianne Faithfull. I don't have this comp. This is probably a new comp, 2018. Marianne Faithfull. If you don't know, Google Marianne Faithfull Mars Bar story. Girlfriend of Mick Jagger. As time goes by, as tears go by, that she actually years later got a co-wrote credit on. Great record. And then this is the earlier period of time. She was a version of Sister Morphine. Did she get a credit on Sister Morphine, a writing credit? But we all know Marianne Faithfull. But her later years got really, really cool in the 80s, that low, throaty voice, which is a great version of Working Class Hero. And this is just the earlier stuff, when she was a pretty little princess, pretty little thing. Let's try this again. Search of a Lost Chord. This must be a little a later issue, because I think it was a gatefold. This is not a gatefold, from 1968. I'm thinking this is the album that came out right after, the year after All Things, not All Things Must Pass, after Days of Future Past. The hits on here: Ride My Seesaw, Dr. Livingston, I presume, Voices in the Sky. This again wasn't, I liked them for these first 2 or 3 albums after Days of Future Past. Obviously, Go Now is their first record, when Denny Laden was in the group with the song Go Now. But then they became a different band with Days of Future Past, which is a must-have album. This is a good album. After this, there was one more, and then I kind of jumped off again with them until that 80s, the big pop hits they did for MTV. I kind of like that stuff too, but they're all the new stuff. I have them all on CD. I have these first 4, I think, on vinyl still. Joan Jett, band Reputation from the Runaways. Joan Jett, we love Joan Jett. The movie, the Runaways biopic is kind of fun, with what's her name playing her from the vampire girl, Wolfen girl. Bad Reputation, You Don't Know Me is on here. Jezebel, Shout. The Isley Brothers, Shout. There's a Beatle connection, because the Beatles covered Shout also early on, so the Shout. This is a record. I don't have this record. I don't know what year this came out. There's a reissue of it. Wooly Bully. She's doing a lot of covers. Looks like a lot of covers on here. Not all covers, but anyway, Joan Jett. Now we're in the jazz section at Amoeba in San Francisco on Haight Street. So we're in the jazz section. Let's see what we can get here. Crusaders, funky Crusaders, kind of pop jazz, funky. Joe Sample. A lot of these guys worked with people like Steely Dan and the Porcaro Brothers, and I don't know this record. I worked and promoted some of the records on ABC. This is after the ABC switch to MCA. This is probably 1980, 1979, close. So I lost my job at ABC after that 1979 switch, so I never got this record. Street Life, Wilton Felder, Styx Hooper, Joe Sample produced it. Anyway, I get in the mood. I like the one with the chain, the orange chain link on the cover. That's a cool Crusaders album. You got to be in the mood. It's not super jazz. It's more like funky soul jazz, but very polished and very commercial. But fun if you're in the mood. But not for you Blue Note snooty collectors. One more in the jazz section, and then we're going to move on. Louis Bellson Big Band. Louis Bellson was a great drummer in the tradition of Buddy Rich, kind of big bandish in the 60s, late 50s, 60s. This is on Pablo Records, so this is 1983. So I guess he was built big in the 60s and early 70s. Collided with the rock thing, did some commercial work as well. Louis Bellson, Joe Suit. I don't recognize anyone else on this, but Pablo Records was an offshoot of Verve, of Norman Grant's label in the late 70s and into the 80s. Pablo Records, Louis Bellson. Great, the swinging drummer. Let's do some folk music. Now we're between folk and country, so let me see. Folk this way, country that way. Let's try folk. I think it's this way. I'm not looking. I promise. Loudon Wainwright III, father of Rufus Wainwright and Martha Wainwright. This is later. This is because he was on. First, he was on Atlantic Records and Columbia Records. Dead Skunk in the Middle is one of his famous songs. This is on Rounder Records, 1980. Hilarious sense of humor. If you ever saw Freaks and Geeks, what's the sequel to Freaks and Geeks, that TV show? First Semester or something, you know what I'm talking about. He played the father in that, would come visit his son. I'm blanking out the name, but you know what that is. But Loudon Wainwright III. People interrupt you when you're doing a whack-a-mole in a public space. Anyway, I don't know this record, but I like the electric. I have all the Atlantic and Columbia records. There's always a Beatle connection, right? Have it, have it, have it, have it, have it. It's like Beatle books. Someday I'm going to have to do a Beatle book showcase. I'm not going to even try electronica. I know some of it, but I wouldn't be good at it. So I know that's maybe cheating, but I ain't going to do it. So that was whack-a-mole, my first whack-a-mole in Amoeba, in a store, in a record store. If you're going to start big, right? So hope you all liked it. So now it's work time. Oh, you don't need me to sit through this right now. Anyway, Mazzy loves you. Take care. Thank you.
Yeah.